So I'm going to take you through the Secret Belgium bind, which is this beautiful bind that I've done here, which has really decorative look to it, ever so versatile in the fact that it allows you to create a book which can go perfectly flat. So if you like doing your art journals and you want to be able to do a double page spread, none of this page is buckering up while you're trying to do it, this will lay flat and allow you to do it. It's a nice sturdy cover, so it's a really nice way of rebinding old books as well. Once you've learnt the method, you can adjust the size. But in the kit you get MDF covers and the spine, which are just, I don't normally like MDF on covers of books because it's a bit awkward to handle, but on these books it's just perfect. And you've got your holes already done, you've got the spine, so that's a really easy one to start with. And you've also got your reusable templates in A5 and A6 with matching spine as well. So this means you can make endless books. You've got the template here that has got the wraparound cover if you want to recycle, maybe, I don't know, down by my foot there's a dog biscuit box ready to be recycled. Anything that's a bit sturdy of board, so yeah, cardboard boxes and things like that, well, you might want to cover them with a decorative paper, so we've included the template for that. We've also given you options on the piercings so that these beautiful holes that you do down your spine, you can have it so it's more decorative, and it comes into the cover of your book and really highlights that beautiful bind. The other nice thing with this is you actually do the cover and the signatures separately, so you could actually make this up as a gift, have the covers ready done, some signatures ready for somebody to actually put into the book themselves. Also, it means you can add signatures later if you decide not to fill it too much and then add more. You can make it fatter or thinner if you need to once you've done a few. But so we've given you the template so you can make these over and over and over again, and they just make beautiful gifts. They're just really, really nice, and it feels nice as well. But the fact that it does that perfectly flat is wonderful, because if ever you've had a new book and you have that feeling of opening it and the spine just fighting against you and that sort of cracking noise, you don't have that with this bind. It is beautiful and it just looks so lovely. So get your variegated threads out, get your ribbons, get twine, whatever you like. I mean, it just looks lovely, and you've got that tactile feel to it. So it's a really nice one to do, and it's ever so easy, nice and repetitive. So carry on watching and I'll take you through the bind. So getting started on your Secret Belgium bind, in the kit you have MDF covers which are pretty much ready to go, or you can start making your own covers like I have on this one, which you just need to use the templates in the kit to draw around, cut out, cover if you want to. You have got the edges here so that if you want to do a wraparound you can. I would make your covers, decorate them first, and then use the piercing guide here to create the holes, which are going to be what we actually bind with. It's just easier if you do the holes right at the end. You can mark them with a pencil just lightly so you can see where they're going to be if you're decorating it, because you don't want to obviously have a chunky embellishment or something there. We've given you different patterns so that you can create decorative designs on your spines. So this one does like a crescent shape, so that makes it really nice. It really sort of draws the eye into the bind. This one here, you've got a sort of a gradient one, and what's nice with this is you can either have it that way and have the gradient going and you get like a Christmas tree effect, or you can have it opposite front and back and it makes the whole book like looks like it's got a twist, which is really effective. But just for the benefits of this video, I'm going to use the MDF ones because it means I can show you the binding straight away. So in the kit you've got an A5 and an A6 version, and you just have your two covers and you have your spine. Now, when I was first learning how to do this, the traditional way of doing this is to position your spine and your covers together and then tape them into place while you're actually binding. But I found that really cumbersome and I was getting in a tangle. So I actually started just sliding my covers and working off the edge of my desk. Not very helpful for you guys because you can't actually see what I'm doing. So I've made a faux version, which is a box with a book on the top. And this means you should be able to see what I'm doing and I can work comfortably. And with this bind, and I use the word bind because it is officially, but when you see the motion of it, you'll see it is more like a weave. So when you're setting up for this, your covers will be decorated, ready to go. This is your front cover. On the left hand side is your front cover, right hand side is your back cover, and the top is closest to you. Okay, that's all you need to know. Okay, and then you just thread a needle up, and you're only using a needle just for ease. Okay, so thread a needle up with some embroidery thread or some twine, something fairly chunky and decorative. Okay, and then you're starting on the right hand hole, you're going to pull through, leave yourself a tail. You're going to come up the gap in the middle, across the spine and down, so that's your weave. Come up that hole, pull it all nice and snug, and then you're going to go back down the hole between the spine and the front cover, and as you're working with it towards you, you go above the thread that you've already put there. Okay, so it's crossing over. Then you're going to come back up between the back cover and the spine, and just at this point we're going to knot these two, the start and the finish, together, just with a little reef knot or surgeon's knot, just so that it's nice and tight. Okay, and at this point I tend to cut off that tail, it just, anything that you can remove. Okay, and we're going to go back down. Okay, again above the first one, up, down that hole, and now we've done a full set of stitches. So we're going to come up the next hole, and down, and it doesn't take long to get into a nice little rhythm. Okay, back up. Again, always remembering to go above what you've just done, back down, back up. And what we're aiming for is on each of the holes to have 2 stitches, 2 threads showing. Then you know that you've done, but only 1 across the spine. So once you create the second on this hole, I now know that I've finished that line and I need to move to the next one. Okay. And it's just a case of just carrying on. There's only 8 holes to do, so it doesn't take very long. And if you've accidentally knotted your thread together like I just have, just unknot it. It's the only downside to using an embroidery thread, but on the same note, they have such beautiful colours and such a beautiful feel. I think the occasional untangle is a small price to pay. And I'm just all the time just keeping that, just pulling the tension a little bit. Okay, and always remember to go above that stitch that you've just done. That's not really a stitch, you can see, because actually the spine has no holes in it whatsoever. It is just held in place by this clever way the other threads pass around. So again, I've got my two strings on each hole, so I know I need to move to the next row. Okay. So you can see it doesn't take very long at all, and you soon get into a rhythm. Okay. You don't want it so tight because you do want to have that nice movement, but you can see that it doesn't take much to sort of tighten it up anyway. And while I was talking there, you see I've finished a whole row. Just keep enough thread so that if your needle drops, as you heard it do there, it's not going to fall right off. It just means you don't have to keep threading your needle. Okay. But honestly, I found the holding it this way so much easier than taping and all of that malarkey. I just could not get it to stay together while it was taped. I ended up putting tape and then it goes across the holes, and it just was not comfortable. Excuse me a minute, I've just pulled my needle off, so re-thread that. Of course, because it's embroidery, I need to make sure that I'm getting all. And again, it's, even though I've stopped there, I can look and see where I need to go next. It really is. It looks so complicated, but when you're in the rhythm of doing it, it's really not a difficult bind at all. Now, I don't think I'm going to have enough thread to finish this, so I just tie another little bit on the end. As simple as that. Keep it as simple as you can and just continue. I'm going to bring it up here. I try and make it to the point where what was I going to say? Where it's not going to show, so it's going to go on the inside. So I'm just going to knot these two bits together, and then you can just work it so it goes onto the inside. But these knots go quite flat anyway. Okay, trim off the excess ends. Thread the needle back. Now obviously I've put way too much thread on now, but I can just keep that for the next time. Okay, needle on. So again, I can instantly see where I'm up to. That's the second thread for that hole, so I now know I'm moving up to the penultimate set of holes. Pull that through. Up we go. Up and down, always making sure that you are above that stitch. So that's what holds it all together. Okay. So it's slightly trickier to hold it now because I'm not holding onto the edge by very much, but as you can see, it's getting more and more stable all the time. So just finish this last run here. There we go. Bring that up, down onto there. You can knot on the outside if you want, but I prefer to knot on the inside. So that's what your inside will look. You can see those steps as we've moved to the next hole. Your spine will have double threads across them, and the holes will only have one each side here. I'm just going to finish this off with a little knot. And that is your cover done. Alright, as simple as that, and look how pretty it looks. Okay, so that can go to one side now, and we're just going to prepare some signatures. Alright, so I'm just going to fold some paper. I've not overly measured this because I know that this book I'm making is A6, so I've just taken some A5 paper and I'm just folding it in half. 1 or 2 sheets at a time so that you get a nice fold, because obviously if you fold multiple pages together it won't press down nicely. I'm not going to do the full book, I just want to do a couple of signatures to show you how to do it. As I say, with this one you can easily add in more signatures, and what I tend to do is a book like this, which has got a bit of bulk to it because I've put in some eco prints, and obviously it's designed for us to sketch and things like that. I don't fill the spine. I give myself expansion space so it's not going to all blow out. If you were making a printed book with printed pages, then you can make your signature, you can make your spine the width of all your signatures. So if you're doing a book that you're not wanting to add multiple things into, you actually fold your signatures first, see how fat it is, and then actually construct the book to fit all the signatures, and you could just measure the spine, but I'm being a bit more free with mine. I'm putting 6 pages in each of my signatures. I'm only going to do 2 signatures just to show you, because again, as with the binding, it gets very repetitive, so you'll see. So you get your signatures, and then you will need your template for this. And on the template, where you've got these lines here, can you see they've got little wobbly bits? And that's basically where you want to mark so that you can pierce your holes. So you can either open your signature up, line up down the fold and just do a little dot, and you'd have to do that on all of your signatures, or, which is what I tend to do, I leave my signature folded and I mark on one of them, and then this becomes my piercing guide. Now I am going to use my piercing cradle to do this just because it makes life so much easier. I don't have to put a massive amount of weight. I'm not going to stab my fingers, so I'm just going to put my signatures in, use my awl, mark, and just pierce through where I've made those marks. So if I was doing the way I'd normally do, I would put my signature in, use my one with the marks and go along and mark, and then when I come to do the final one, I just use one of the others to show me where I need to pierce my holes. And you can just see with an awl and a piercing cradle, it just makes it effortless in terms of going through. No stabbing fingers, always down the middle. It's probably my most used piece of kit. Right, I now need my needle again, and I'm going to grab a bit of thread. I'm hoping this variegated purple will show up for you. Okay. I love bookbinding needles, how easy they are to thread. Right, so taking one signature at a time, and wherever you put your cover, here. So open up your cover. Let me move some of this distraction out of the way and position that there. I'm hoping you'll be able to see this nice and clearly now. So put your hand in the middle of the signature so that you can see what you're doing, and starting on the outside of the signature, leave yourself a little trail and come out the next hole back to where we can see the spine. Okay, leave yourself a tail. Now here you've got two like rails of the spine stitches, the spine cords I call them. I'm going to take my needle under the first two, under the next two, and that will line me up with my next hole in my signature. So what I'm doing is each time I do a stitch on my signature, so if this wasn't having a cover, this would just be where the stitch would normally be. But instead of just going across the pages, I'm picking up those stitches on the spine. So what it's doing is starting to anchor my signatures inside. So I go to the next hole, which will now bring me out by the next set of the spine. So I'm just going to go under two and under the next two, which makes my stitch the size I need it to be to line up with the next hole. Okay. When I come out the next hole, it's going to line me up by the next set of spinal cords. Okay, so I can capture them. So you've got 3 stitches holding that signature to that cover. Okay, and that's just a case of going in that hole. And the last hole we come out, we don't need to anchor it to the spine. This stitch's job is to pick up the next signature. So we go out of the first signature and back in the second, and then we just go up, repeating that same process. So out of the hole, we're going to pick up those cords, back in the next hole, and you'll start to feel it pulling the book together. And as you get more signatures in, you'll find this gets a little bit tighter, so just take your time, it's not a race. And along you go. When you get to this end, obviously we've still got our tail here, and we need to connect these two together, so it's a case of coming out, knotting this together so that will hold it tight. Just give it a little tug, a little snuggle, so that pulls everything tight. Knot that together, and again I cut off the excess tail. Just be careful to cut the right bit, just so it's not going to get in my way. And now my pages are starting to fit into my book, and you just go along until you've got the right number of signatures that you want in, and that is how your book comes together. It's ever so easy, nice and repetitive, and it just gives you such a nice, look how flat that lays. It's just perfect for journals and things like that. So that is your secret Belgian bind.